Today, we are at the Sons of the Revolution Library in Glendale, California. How did you get started here?
I became interested in the library through my own family genealogy, and that led me here to do some research, and I ended up joining the organization. When it was founded in 1893, the members who founded the society realized that they needed to have books and publications locally for them to grow the organization. So they started back then, of course, long before the internet and let alone the automobile, of bringing out books on trains. And so by 1900, the collection was about 5,000 volumes. And then by the 1920s, grew so large that we had to build our own building, which we did in 1926. There's over 30,000 titles here. The library was founded in 1893, and so over that 100 and some years, we've built quite a collection.
The Daughters of the Revolution is the first lineage society that most women join. And when they decide they want to investigate their heritage, this library is one of the first places they come to.
Now, you've been involved with the Daughters of the Revolution. Tell us, what is that?
Well, it's a women's lineage society. It's a national society and is the largest one of the lineage societies. There are very many of them. Some of them go to the Revolution, some the Civil War, War of 1812, and on back to Jamestown and the Mayflower. And all those things can be researched in this library.
Do you have gatherings or meetings?
Different chapters set up a date when they will come here, maybe 3 times a year. And the women come and spend the day researching. In February, the library sponsors a Washington's birthday celebration. It's open to the public. The last time we had a meal that was representative of what would have been served in Washington's time, along with Fish House Punch, his favorite drink.
The penultimate of the day is the serving of Fish House Punch. The Fish House itself is the oldest gentleman's club in the Western world. It was founded in 1732. The Fish House is its facility, which exists to this day on the banks of the Schuylkill River. Well, George Washington visited there some 50 years or 40 years later during the American Revolution, and historians have analyzed his personal journals, which he kept quite exacting every day, entering everything he did from morning until night. However, they found that there were certain dates that there were no entries at all. And they correlated that to his visits to the fish house. When he was at the fish house, he made no entries. Once he took a sip of the drink, he didn't gain his bearings for 2 or 3 days. I helped stage a dinner here at the Tam O'Shanter and had asked that they serve the Fish House Punch at this private party. So I faxed over the recipe, and 5 minutes later the general manager of the restaurant called, and he kind of jokingly said, "Well, I could see how George Washington stayed warm at Valley Forge, but unfortunately I can't serve this drink." The reason was it was too potent. This corner of our library is known as the George Washington Corner. This is an original trade banner from the 1789 procession when George Washington visited Boston. About 100 years ago, it was only one of 2 remaining and was owned by a member of our society who eventually gave it to us. This particular one is for the Plumbers and Glaziers Guild, which is symbolized on the banner itself. The banners were held from staffs while George Washington rode on a white horse down to the center. And for a time, this actually hung in the State House in Boston.
How did you come to receive all of these beautiful artifacts?
Well, we've had over 3,000 members, and so over that period of time, through donations or bequests, we received many items.
Rick, this is very interesting. What is this?
This is a leopard skin saddle pad that was owned by General Edward Braddock during the French and Indian Wars. And at the Battle of Fort Duquesne, he was killed in 1755. And his family gave it to his chief of staff, who was Colonel George Washington.
So this is the actual saddle housing.
Yes, it is. It's actually half of the saddle housing. There would be another piece that connects and goes up the other side. And the housing is what sits on the back of the horse, so his skin doesn't chafe with the saddle on top. We have a lot of tours with elementary and junior high school students, and so we've set up this corner here to have a replica of the guns that were used during the American Revolution, the writing implement. This is itself is like a school table. and also a uniform. This is known as a George Washington Quartet. It's owned by the Glendale Symphony and its successor organization. It's from modern times, but it's by Michael Ozzo, who was an artisan from Italy. He came from Cremona, the same place as Stradivarius, and he so loved his adopted country that he wanted to make something in remembrance of that. And you'll notice the vignettes on the back, they all have American themes. This here is George Washington Peachey. He's what they called a real son, which means his father actually fought in the American Revolution. We had more real sons than any other society. We had 6 in the early days, and he came out west here in the 1850s, was ultimately the sheriff of Sacramento County, then settled here in Southern California, and because of his heritage and interest in American patriotism, became a member of our society.